I'm Jade McNeil and welcome to the Bee Space podcast, your bi-weekly dose of business and property realness. No hype, no fluff, and definitely no BS. Just honest conversations about what it really takes to build something from nothing. Oh, hello, lovely people. Solo episode for you today, guys. So it's just before Christmas 2024. So that means that yet again, another year has flown by. Does anybody else feel like it's just time just goes so fast? Like I feel like it was just summer holidays 2 minutes ago, but it's not. We're near the end of another year. So I thought it might be fun, interesting, I'm not sure, maybe neither, to review my own year on a business and both personal level and kind of share with you honestly, like what's been going on, what's worked, what's not worked, and what life is going to look like for me moving forward. So I'll jump in. Not even the start of 2024, it was sort of back end of 2023, I think maybe October time onwards. I want to level with you all. I was not feeling it. I was struggling in terms of I'd lost the love of the development side. Mainly because with, two key projects that were just being battered in planning and prolonged and just, it's awful. And also so many deals, big commercial conversions that we'd looked at and we'd offered on and for whatever reason just hadn't happened. And I just got to a point where we were battling various things, development side, and it just felt like really relentless. And I was thinking, do you know what? I'm not even enjoying this anymore. And I was feeling it a little bit tough going into the start of 2024. Also at the same time, I was kind of feeling a little bit underwhelmed with Bee Space in terms of the brand, what the offer was. This is on the consultancy side, by the way. What the offer was, could the customer understand my offer? Was it clear? Did I even know what it was? Was it working for me? So on and so forth. So, start of 2024, I did something for me. I invested into a really fantastic marketing / business coach. So I worked with somebody for 6 months, from January through to June, and cost me around 9K for that time. And we really knuckled down and we worked on, the messaging for Bee Space, the website function, the funnel side of consultancy, and also this lovely podcast. Because for years I wanted to, launch a podcast, but I don't just do things for doing things' sake. Everything I do, I think about for a good long while. And I think, okay, how can I make this the most valuable? It can be for my audience, but also it needs to make sense to me, because if I get to a point where I lose the passion for anything, then it's not a great place for me to be, because I'm a very creative person. So I need to enjoy it. I need to enjoy the subject. So the first kind of quarter of us working together was really focusing on this podcast and kind of what the mission and the purpose was, and what the name was, and how it's going to look and feel, and the type of guests, and also, of course, for me, the stuff you don't see on a podcast. So like systemization, like how do you make it? Who does this bit? What plugin do you need for here? How do you optimize that thing? So on and so forth. What reports can we get? Because obviously anything I create, my team have to execute. So we have to make sure it's systemized so they can just get on with it in the background. And it's not like a problem for them, because we've got lots of different things going on. So yeah, I kind of kick-started the year by working with an expert, investing into myself actually, which is the second time since 2016 that I've done that in the way of working with a business coach. First time was when things started to really kind of get exciting on with my design business with Bee Space. Obviously that really worked until COVID changed it, but yeah, that was the first time and the results were great. So I did it again. But this time it was more around the marketing, messaging, visibility side for me. Now, 9 grams a big commitment for 6 months, but also I see that as kind of, a double-pronged result, because one, I get to feel the results of implementing that and learning and understanding it, but also I can then pass that on to my clients. I'm always the guinea pig in everything. I do it on myself, test it, what works, what didn't. And then once we get to that place where I'm like, yep, this is good, this is working, I can then share that with clients and then they can utilize it in their businesses going forward. So moral of the story, I sort of knew at the beginning of 2024 on the consultancy side, the digital side, as I refer to it, that I needed to bring in some expert support because, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there, who are self-employed that will connect to this. I felt, I'm the business leader, I'm the visionary, I'm the person that directs day in, day out. And I just felt like I need someone to come in and kind of elevate my thought process. And I need someone to have as a sounding board and bat ideas off that I trust that, will get me to where I need to go. So that was the first kind of positive step forward to move me mentally and B space into a much better place on the consultancy side. So we did that by really focusing on, okay, what is the funnel with my customer? So like now, for example, if you go onto my website, everything is about start, grow, and scale. So there's 3 different types of clients that can come into my world at different points of their property development and business journey and go, okay, that's where I need to go. That is where Jade can support me the best. Whereas before it was kind of just one big noise, and I find myself explaining things to people and not being able to say things. Whereas, I'm all about striving for the best customer experience across everything that I do. So it's just making sure that customer journey to understand where they can work with me the most is easy to follow and, get them there. But also it's kind of like looking at the funnel for the customer, but also the services as well that I offer, what I do within them, how much time I give to clients and where that time takes place, so on and so forth. So yeah, with the help of my business and marketing coach, we looked at all of that, and she really helped me be confident in my decision-making process to go, yeah, this is exactly where I want to take my services, and this is where I personally add the most value to people through my own experiences on both business and property development. And these are the best people. These are the people who I can serve the best. And I think, that all kind of came to a head for me, ironically, this October, when I was with all of my one-to-one clients for our group mastermind day. And, I've mentioned this in a previous pod, but I had quite a profound moment when one of them was kind of wrapping us up for the day, going through some, business restructuring and kind of services that she was doing for herself. And I kind of looked at the screen and the faces around me and I thought, wow, I'm making a real profound difference to these women that are sat with me. And actually, I feel quite emotional and taken back by that. And I'm so proud of myself for putting myself out there and offering these services to help people, because look at the difference it's positively making. So yeah, big U-turn for me on the consultancy side. I invested in myself, which enabled me to restructure the digital business to offer the best possible service to my clients, but also a service that, aligns with my time available and lifestyle choices. So yeah, really happy with how that side worked out. I think also, with the podcast, I'm incredibly strategic and think ahead in terms of what I'm trying to build and why I'm trying to build it. And this is just across the board. So the podcast for me was very much, that's another asset that I can chip away at, steady in the background. And I just always think to myself, and I know this is going to sound maybe a bit dramatic, but or maybe not actually, because I think this might just be about to happen to TikTok. But imagine if Instagram went down. Imagine if one day it just wasn't there, which could absolutely happen in the digital world we live in. And I rely on that for so much. I need to create other assets that are mine, granted, you could argue it's on quite a bit of rented space, but yeah, you know, like I need to create assets that are mine, you know, database being one, podcast being another, social media, so on and so forth. So yeah, I really wanted to do that because, it just felt like a smart, forward-thinking decision to make. And again, you know what? I'm proud actually of what we've done with this pod, because it is about how to build something from nothing, and that is my story. And I just love giving a platform to other people, everyday people, you know, that have done the same, that have had highs and lows. And so I'm going to continue to do that with the pod, like moving into 2025. Okay, cool. So let's talk about developments. Developments. Oh, God. So I mentioned before, 2023 was basically loads of no's and knockbacks, which kind of started to take a bit of an effect on me, which was not fun. Anyway, so moving forward into 2024, you know, finally we're in construction with both BEE21 and RUBEE33. Both Article 4 student HMOs. So let me talk about BEE21 first. Now, this project, I mean, I could write a book on this project. So I'll start at the top. It was sourced direct to vendor, so it was off market, via a letter. I had to, so this is going back 21 into 22. Met the old owner, you know, had to go around to sit in her house a couple of times to kind of discuss the deal and make an offer and so on and so forth. Not a simple building, you know, lots of like old, strange planning history, fully tenanted with tenants with issues at the time, which she was trying to battle with and was causing her ill health. Anyway, we managed to secure a subject to planning offer on the building, because what we needed to do with it, because of the technical planning history, we needed to get it back into planning and kind of wipe the slate clean and just get that HMO usage reinstated. What we decided to do at the time was put in a redesign and take the roof off the existing building. You know, this is a really old bathurst. You can go back on my Instagram and have a look, like gross Tudor mock eyesore. Square meterage, I think 336 square meters, so it's big. And we put into planning for this really lovely contemporary red brick, black aluminium concepts, which all the way through the planning process was like, they're asking us questions. Can we change this window aperture? Can we do this? Can we do that? And we're thinking, oh, great, this is positive, you know. If they weren't going to send us for approval, then they wouldn't be asking us to just make minor amendments to things like window apertures, as an example. So we were told it was going to be sent for approval, and then bang, we get an email saying, no, actually, we've changed our minds, decline. And they'd basically declined the roof on top of the building and the design, ruining the usual rubbish that they decline HMOs with, ruining the community. Bearing in mind, this was already a 14-bed HMO. 14-bed HMO, so ruining the community. The aesthetic wasn't sympathetic, which is crazy because the location of the building right opposite the main island is like a big box storage place, which is like a massive, ironic black and yellow gigantic building. And it's like, okay, I mean, that's pretty big building over there, and ours was just red brick and aluminium, like Nottingham City Council. If anyone's listening, you would have been lucky to have that design in your borough, quite frankly. You can hear that it still annoys me. Anyway, we shall not dwell, because there is always another day with the planning process. We managed to get reinstated the 14 bedrooms, great. So we went to completion. Completed on the building, but we completed with tenants in situ, which was just joyful. Now, at that point, that meant for us, we'd never actually really been inside the building. There was a couple of pictures online, but there was nothing, you know, we couldn't go in and do a measured survey or anything like that. So we dealt with the tenants that were in there, managed to get vacant, and anyway, we went in, did the work. The biggest challenges with that project, there were a few in all honesty, but the main one was because we didn't get to see the building. A lot of it was done off what we believed from what we could see, it would be like. And obviously, I would say that probably 80% of it was spot on, but it's a big building. So yeah, there were things that, let's say with the roof and with some additional structural things that without going in, we never would have been able to see. So obviously that then added on cost to the project and also added on time. And as you know, people, when you do developments, time is money. And when you've got an asset sat there on a substantial bridging loan, every day that ticks by incurs more interest and has a negative knock-on effect. Now, on a personal level for me, many of you may realise, but my husband is in charge of the build in our setup. So, of course, that means that there's awkward conversations in the evenings about how the build's going and what's going on and, different trades that let you down and cause further delays. And it got quite tense with this particular project because that is just one part of what we do. We also do have quite a substantial building company that builds luxury houses and extensions for people. So we're busy. So yeah, BEE21, did actually end up feeling like a time and energy vortex, in all honesty. At the end of it, like the process was not fun. That said, we got there in the end. And I'm incredibly proud of what was created with that building. It's fully tenanted and fully tenanted for the next academic year, which is 2025 into 26. So happy days. It also valued exactly where we'd hope it would value as well. So it's just shy of 1.4 million. The only downside is, of course, because nothing is ever smooth with property development. Why would it all just go your way? Why would it? The only downside is they chipped us on the loan to value. So we didn't get 75%. We got 70%, which meant that we left a little bit of money in the deal. But it is what it is. And actually, to say what that particular project went through in that, 2-year period and all the different things that were thrown at us, we did a good job. And I'm very proud of, the product that's been created. Now, moving forward for us, of course, we have plans. We're not going to just let the planners off. We're going to sit on it for a little while. And we actually made provisions inside on the top floor apartment. So I've got 2 7-bed apartments in there, essentially, 14 beds in total. We made allowances to be able to take the roof off at a later stage, put some stairs in, because we will be going back into planning with a slightly different design and a bit of a pushback. And we are actually hoping that, with the changes in the Labour government, that they might be a little bit more open to our suggestions. So, yeah, fingers crossed on that one. But at the end of the day, it is a monster HMO in a prime Article 4 area in Nottingham. So, yeah. Big tick next to BEE21. In the end, we get there. Next project for me I've completed this year is RUBEE33. So she's lovely, RUBEE33. Again, 2 years in the making. This is a 6-bed Article 4 in Nottingham for students. What happened with RUBEE33? Now, she went into planning. Sorry to call her she. I'm just proud of these assets, and I don't know. I kind of bring them to life in my head, I think. So RUBEE33 went into planning and got knocked back to reinstate HMO usage, and then we went into appeal and got approved. Yay! Quite relatively small terrace, maybe just shy of 100 square meters. It was licensed for 4. So we went in and basically got a dormer and rear extension to take it up to 6 to meet amenity standards. So now that's what she is, RUBEE33. Issues we face there, again, is always construction. I mean, this is a new one for us. We've seen a lot over the years, but when the guys went to basically, I need to get this right, otherwise I'll be in trouble. We only had single skin in the cellar and walls. So basically it couldn't take not the cellar, in the attic. It couldn't take, in the roof space, it couldn't take the dormer structure. So we had to build up an internal skin inside the house, which obviously took time, and you got it, money. So that caused a delay. What that meant is that we couldn't get it finished for the student cycle. So we missed it, which is really annoying, but yeah, there you go. But that's done, and that's tenanted for 25 into 2026, 6 beds, and I love that little house. That was actually, apart from the issue with the structural for the dormer, that was such a nice, straightforward project. And yeah, we're just waiting for the valuation to come back on that. But yeah, I'm feeling positive about that. So yeah, lovely little bread and butter project. And I would do more of those if, you can find them, but they are pretty rare. This episode of the B Space podcast is kindly sponsored by the wonderful people at Landlord Furniture Co. Specialising in a huge range of high quality bespoke furniture, Landlord Furniture Co. provides durable pieces designed to last in your rental properties. If you're searching for the perfect furniture to attract professional HMO tenants or need more resilient pieces for your student accommodations, considering cost-effective furniture packs for a larger property, or looking for something more personalised to elevate your serviced accommodation brand, whatever your need, Landlord Furniture Co. will craft a solution for you. You can say goodbye to rubbish old flat packs and start investing in a luxurious experience for your tenants. Backed by a 3-year warranty and exceptional customer service, they really are the smart choice for any landlord or property developer out there who takes their properties, their tenants and their business seriously. So ready to transform your spaces with Landlord Furniture Co. and ensure that your investments stand out in the market? Visit Landlord Furniture Co. today at www.landlordfurnitureco.co.uk, or you can head to their showroom, which is in Oldham, or find them over on Instagram at Landlord Furniture Co. Now, let's get back to the episode. So yeah, I think, on the development side with those 2 projects that have been completed this year, although at points incredibly painful, we get there in the end. And always with developments, anyone that's listening to this with a bit of experience will be like, yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. When you're in the thick of it, you're just like, oh, kill me now. Like, these problems just need to end. People just need to turn up and do what I'm trying to pay them to do. But you get the other side, you get out of it, it gets tenanted, and then it's there to do its job. Any development, they're not just buildings, you're creating a business with each individual asset that you create. And that's not straight. Any business creation is not straightforward. So yeah, it feels good to positively finish the year with those 2 projects. It actually doesn't sound a great deal like finishing 2 projects, HMO projects this year, but I've got 20 bed spaces in Article 4, which is incredibly hard to have, and they're, in terms of, in my opinion, property development terms, they are the holy grail. For a good reason. So yeah, I'm really proud of us all, everybody in the team, that we've created that. I did have the 2024 in my goals list, another large deal, but as I mentioned at the start of this episode, there were just so many deals that were a no. And if they'd have been a yes, they would have been kicking off, sort of Q3, Q4 this year. But yeah, it's not happened. Do you know what? I'm all right with that. Like, we've had so much going on that it's just when the time comes, they will come, which leads me nicely onto kind of my next point about developments. I'm very much the sort of person that's like, okay, what am I enjoying? What am I not enjoying? What's working? What's not? What do we need to do more of? So on the development side, sort of links into the personal side for me. Thinking about kind of what we enjoy and what we need to do more of, Tim and I really enjoy the process of flipping properties, which is something that's how we started out. We lived in them essentially at the start, saw the benefit, and then eventually started to do it, in little terraces and cottages and stuff locally where we are. And we're able to build up an investment pot. Alongside that, I've been kind of thinking about our own personal finances and where we are in life. I mean, come on, I'm not a spring chicken, right? I can't believe this, but I'm 42 years old next year. I mean, I'm racking up the years, people. But just thinking personally about where I am and what puts downward pressure on us as a family and doesn't give us the feeling of freedom. And when I've reflected on that this year, it's our mortgage on our own residential house. So you may or may not know, but we built our house and we still are. There's still lots to do to it. In 2020, we moved in. It's a converted cowshed, so a Class Q barn conversion. And at the moment, obviously we built it, and let me tell you, we did it on the back of a fag packet. But we currently sit about 35 to 40% GDV on our mortgage, but still it's a decent mortgage. And actually, when I think about on a personal level what amazing would feel like for us as a family, as a young family, well, relatively young, it would be to not have a mortgage, right? So you can see where I'm going with this. So moving into 2025, our main development focus is to kind of go back to where we began, really, and start to flip buildings again and, start to use those chunks of money to pay down the mortgage on the barn. Because actually for me, where we are with things, we've spent, however long building up that HMO portfolio, and one day, when we sell it, which is probably what we'll do at some point, 10, 15, 20 years time, there'll be a fair amount of equity that's built into that. And that's our long-term play. But actually the short-term play for us now, because we're in a good position where we can do this, is to pay off the residential mortgage. So yeah, the focus for 2025 is to take those funds, reinvest, flip, so on and so forth, so we can pay our own personal mortgage off. Now, just take a moment to imagine how good that would feel. So it's about, for me, thinking smart and thinking about, okay, what can I leverage in terms of our own skills, which is obviously, we've got a building company. We've since got this year, we launched in October 2024, the Builder's Yard, which is my husband's building materials retail business. So he's now started the first one of those, and he's building that out to 6. So yeah, utilising the materials cost there on the projects. And our skills, my ability to design, and we just both really enjoy the process of going in, adding value through design and build, and then selling them. And that just all feels like it makes a lot of sense to Tim and I. And that's our core development focus moving into 2025. Now, how we're funding that is that we are working with private investors that are funding our deals. So if you want to talk to me about that, I'm open. I've got a new investor pack just for this side of developments. Reach out to me. I'll send that over to you. Doors are open for new people to come into our world and just be part of what we're doing there, because I feel like that it's not just about chasing the cash flow, is it? And chasing the dream. It's like, right, okay, this is a smart, long-term play for us, how we can utilize our skills, our knowledge and our experience and our passion for developments and really have a huge impact on us as a family. Kind of looking at the personal stuff for me during 2024, it will come as no surprise that it's obviously all horse related. Some of you might know, some of you might not, but I followed my dreams and got back into horse riding 3 years ago. It's something I used to do a lot as a child and a teenager, and I've always, every day since, probably 21 years old, dreamt of owning my own horse again. And I did that. I was able to justify that cost of money and time 3 years ago. So yeah, last year I sold the original horse that I bought and bought a new one, which is like literally my dream horse that I still can't believe to this day. Every time I look at him, I'm like, do I really own you? You are so just amazing in every way. So this year for me, I like to be competitive. I really enjoy jumping, show jumping and eventing. And I really wanted to kind of, push myself in terms of, I've got a lot of catching up to do. There's people in my sport that didn't stop in their teenage years and they continue. So they've got like 20 odd, 30 odd years on me in terms of experience and skill. So, I've gone out, I've invested, bought myself, when I turned 40, I've invested, bought myself an incredible little horse box, branded one. Brought myself my dream horse. I've got all the kit. I've built a business where I can, justify the time to be able to go to the stables and, do my thing. Invested into the best coaches. So yeah, I wanted to kind of start getting out there and competing. I said this to somebody the other day, and this is really personal, but I had one traumatic birth with my first child, and then not so, well, it was okay. Well, I had a cesarean section, but it was planned, but didn't end up being planned in the end. So my body has been through quite a lot to bring my children into the world. However, if you see me ride my horse and what I get up to, you will never know. And I just think it's absolutely mind-blowing what a woman's body can do. And actually, I'm very proud that at 41, pushing 42, I go out there and basically act like I'm 15 and 16. And I am living my absolute dream. Now, people talk about flow state, right? And they talk about kind of getting into a flow state where you kind of come away from everything else in your mind and you're in the zone and you disconnect. It's like, let me tell you something. Nothing makes you disconnect from your problems, scenarios, worries, like careering towards a giant hedge at what feels like 200 miles an hour. You're in the zone. You're in that kind of adrenaline pumped zone, and it is absolutely incredible. So, on a personal level, I've definitely been doing more of that because it just brings me so much joy and happiness. And I've absolutely built my different parts of my businesses around that to facilitate it as a priority. And I'm sharing this with you because, if you're not already doing this, and I want you to think that you need to, because it's been an absolute game changer for me in terms of happiness and just key fulfillment. And just think, wow, even after all this time and everything my body's been through, I can go and do this and just have the time of my life. And I've never been so fit and healthy and happy. And so 2024, I wanted to go out and compete and attend different events, and I've done all of that. And actually, the other thing that's come out of it for me is I've met some great people that are new in my world, that are non-business related. And, socially, that connection to other people has been pretty profound, honestly. So I want to continue to do more of that moving into 2025. Another big personal thing for us, me and my family, is that, keeping on the horse vibe, we purchased at the back end of 2023, just kind of a stone's throw from our own house in the village where we live, 10 acres of land and 9 stables. So an equestrian facility, which we never ever thought would come up for sale, and did. And we managed to be able to purchase it. And actually, the first time round of trying to purchase that, we were not successful. And luckily for us, the people that did purchase it put in a cheeky planning application behind the owner's back, which they didn't like, for a house. So they came to us and said, does your offer still stand? Because if it does, you can have it. So we were like, oh my goodness. We went for it, and purchased a very battered and old and tired equestrian facility. And we put it through planning to reinstate some bits and pieces, put a new barn on there, put a sand school on there for exercising, which pretty much flew through planning, which is great. And we've spent this year, all of 2024, kind of chipping away at it. Now, everything that Tim and I do on a personal level is very much like, kind of roll your sleeves up, get stuck in, hard graft, earn the money, spend it on the asset, move forward. And that's just, we're not from a rich background. We reinvest everything we've got. We work hard. And it's pretty mind-blowing, actually, that we will own our own equestrian facility, which will be a stone's throw away from our own home. Now, from a lifestyle point of view, for us as a family, it's huge, because we are, we're countryside people. We like the fields and nature and mud and dogs and horses. And we're busy. We're busy with the businesses, busy with the kids and the clubs. And our kind of utopia that we like to go to is the countryside. So it's the whole lifestyle of what that brings for us. The land, the maintenance, the other animals the kids want to get, and how we live. And just having the horses like seconds from the front door is going to be incredible. So we're kind of pouring everything we've got into getting it finished. So we are moving in by the 1st of April 2025. So I haven't actually been sharing much about the stables because, of course, it's been a slow burner, because originally we thought we could go in and, sort of tart up what was there. Of course not, no, because you go in and there's nothing structurally sound. So it's like, okay, the whole thing's got to come down and it's got to be rebuilt. And it just takes time and it just takes money. And it's never been for this year for us like top priority. We've been very, very busy with, Tim's been running his building business, launching his retail chain, building luxury homes for people. developing out our own projects. And it's just been incredibly busy. So the stables is kind of like a personal passion project, which means the absolute world to us. Of course, though, you know that there is potentially a long play for Tim and I on that one. So it will be it's currently got a barn on there, like an old rickety wooden barn, which we'll use for a temporary hay stall to begin with. But we have had planning passed to put on a metal portal frame, which is like a smaller version of what I'm currently living in, which is a converted cow shed. But yeah, it's those classic kind of agricultural frames that you see everywhere. So yeah, the long play, maybe for us, maybe, never say never, is that maybe when our children are gone, when they go off to, hopefully not uni, but wherever they go, I'm sure they'll leave one day, or maybe they won't. But if they do, we might put the other barn into planning and kind of build, Tim and I, a sympathetic, single story, I don't want to say retirement bungalow because that sounds horrendous, but like a glass black box. It would be very, very cool, like a mini version of what I live in, really, which would be completely off grid. So that means that we'll have a couple of less stables, the house, and it's sat in 10 acres privately as well. So yeah, it's quite and surrounded by my neighbour's woodland, so it's quite a beautiful private plot actually. And yeah, we still can't really believe that we own it, but we do. And I'm very excited to be able to share, updates with you guys when the horses are finally in. So I think in a nutshell, that's kind of, I don't think I've missed anything there. So developments, consultancy, personal stuff. Another personal thing actually I forgot to add is that I put a goal down to take the children on holiday 4 times a year. And we did that this year. And yeah, that was pretty cool. I think 4 is a bit excessive. And actually I'll probably drop that down to 2 or 3 for next year. Just because, yeah, by the time they got to the second abroad holiday in August, I don't think they were feeling it. I know I can hear the smallest violins playing in the world for them. But yeah, so I think maybe 2 to 3 personal holidays for next year. So moving forward into 2025, what does it look like? Well, in a couple of days from now, I'm going to be announcing something really exciting that I've been working on the consultancy side. It's a really incredible collaboration with Sam Lowney, who is the CEO at Merry Oaks Finance. Sam and I have been working on this idea for pretty much the whole year, actually, and kind of, working on the business model and fleshing out the whys and the whats and the whos and the wheres. And we've created a product that we are both incredibly proud of. And I do think is going to really, just open up the property and business space. And there's nothing like that out there that exists. So yeah, I can't say too much now because it's not actually officially launched. But when it does, you'll see and you'll get it. So that's pretty exciting. The other thing that I'm going to say on here, so I've said it, and I know that some of you will keep me accountable for this, and I actually have Sam to thank for this. I think 2025 may be the year that this begins. Will it get finished? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to write a book. But the issue I have is I'm not a natural writer, basically because I get distracted really quickly. So I need to find a way to do that. So if you've got any ideas of how I can do that speedy, do let me know because I'd appreciate some support. But where I'm at with the idea at the minute is I would love to do a book on women in property, but, making it the B Space way, because there's a lot of female women books out there in property, but they're all just naff, in all honesty. But obviously through what I do with my consultancy, I get to work with a lot of incredibly brilliant women that are just, so great. And I can share all of their stories again in a book, for future generations to sort of read about and feel inspired and connected by. So yeah, hold me accountable, guys. I think it's something I want to start this year, but I've just kind of I very much work on where's my timescales at. So, I need to pin that in at some point and make that magic happen. So that's the book. On the development side, as I mentioned before, for 2025, it's all about flipping those properties, working with private investors and getting the barn mortgage paid off. Obviously, also on the business, we want to see the Builder's Yard, which is my husband's retail chain that he's launched. That's growing day on day, which is amazing to see. He wants to acquire another unit for the chain in 2025. So yeah, that's just great to watch that play out, and will, I'm sure, become a really important part of everything. I haven't really spoken much about that, but yeah, if you see my stuff online, that was a decision. And again, it's something Tim's wanted to do for quite a few years, but it's got to be about timing, because you can't do everything all at once, and you've got to make sure you keep your eyes on money and cash flow in other businesses. So the time was right for him this year, 2024. And he'll grow that out to a chain of probably half a dozen, and then probably sell it. The reason for that for us as a family is just business diversity makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we really believe in, I don't want to say fingers in pies, because we have got basically two pies, property and building, which is property, I guess. So all of our businesses that we've got do have, and they connect in some way or another. So this just just gives us some strength, really, some clout in our business portfolio, and that just feels like it makes sense. Now, what I will say, we do have a lot going on, and people will often say to me, like, how do you do it all? And it is very much about systems and people and team and support and crystal clear direction from me. So I have to do all that, but also my number one top priority is protecting my time, because, I'm currently working, I work about 20 hours a week, maybe between 20-25 hours a week at the moment, and I have zero plans to increase that. And run multiple businesses with a very lean, committed team to be able to do that. My time is my biggest asset, and I protect it, because that gives me the ability to go and do the things that I love in the time that I have available, which is obviously all equestrian related. So yeah, protecting my time moving forward is top priority. You're going to hear me talk a lot in 2025 about collaboration. And I think that when I have reflected on this year and kind of the real highs and lows that I felt at different points across the board, whether it be developments, whether it be tenant issues, whether it be cash flow issues, like we all have them, right? I've kind of sat there, and the one thing throughout it all that's really made me see that everything's going to be okay is being surrounded by really good people that are experts in their field, that have got your back, that, care, and just really looking at collaborating with great people moving into 2025. I think it's very smart, and it's just a great way to do business, and not trying to be all things to everybody, and just like working with great people. And yeah, that's going to be a big priority for me. That might sound kind of a bit cryptic at the minute, but yeah, I just think when all's said and done, no matter what you do, if you've got decent people around you, you're going to be all right, like it'll work. So yeah, that's a big one for me. But listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you're still listening, but there's, it's been a positive year all in all, really. And I'm very proud of everything that we've achieved and how everything has grown incrementally throughout the year. So, and we've got a very clear plan of how we want things to be for us as the family and business owners moving forward into 2025. So guys listening, if you're listening to this pre-Christmas, then have a very, very happy and Merry Christmas. Don't drink too much Baileys. Thank you for listening to the Bee Space podcast during 2024, and for just following me and being really supportive and really kind and really brilliant. And look, I'm always, available for a DM on Instagram. Let's connect. Keep your eyes out for what I'm up to during 2025. I am on a mission, I am on a mission to constantly improve the property development and business space. It needs to happen, doesn't it? So yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Have a good one. That's a wrap for another episode of the Bee Space podcast. I've been your host, Jade McNeil, property developer, mentor, and business coach. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite platforms. And until next time, remember, don't believe the hype and always keep it real.